I'd like to ask Monique a question, if I may. And it's really surrounding the issue of accountability and fairness. And so I don't think we can avoid it. It's in the public eye, and I think again, I don't want to touch on any allegations that have been made against you and your office, but I want to touch on the accountability part of it. And I understand that you're kind of sheltering yourself behind the process, and so there's been little comment from your party and yourself and even your colleague in Hamilton East, Stony Creek. So here in the Bay Observer, there's an article, and you can vouch whether this is true or not, but basically 2 human rights complaints against you from individuals that work in your office, and very little comment on you. So I'm looking at the accountability issue, and I'm very, very concerned, because even myself, I had to go through a significant vetting process in order to be a candidate here on Hamilton Mountain. And so when that happens, I wouldn't be a candidate if I had that looming over me. And so I ask, how are you going to be accountable to that process once it moves forward? And if those allegations are found true, how will you?
Thank you very
how will
much,
you?
Mr. Starr. That's time.
Will you resign?
Your response?
Thank you for the question. And yes, it is something that has been looming in my office, but it's a process that I have no choice but to take. As an employer, I have a responsibility to respect my employees, and if something is brought to my attention, I have a responsibility to make sure that I follow a policy and a process. So other than that, I'm in a unionized environment, so I know that you may have a difficult time understanding that as Liberals and Conservatives, but as New Democrats, we are the only party to have unionized staff, which provides protection for those staff, and which is it's the way to go, right? So I appreciate you asking the question. I look forward to the process being completed, and I have responded to the papers with my response, saying that I have a policy to follow.
Monique, thank you very much. You're all finished. You got a few
good.
seconds left. We're good. Okay. We are now going to open this topic up, accountability and fairness, now to the rest of the tables here. So please feel free to join in.
Yes, I'm just wondering, trust is the most important thing for a politician. When I said I was running for the Conservative Party, you know what people told me? Are you kidding? They're all... And I said, no. We have a perception that politicians are not trustworthy. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm doing this, because I will tell you, I will be trustworthy. I will be accountable. And to me, when Andrea Horwath says to Patrick Brown, accuse them and say guilty.
Here. So I'll join you in this conversation.
Guilty before and says to you.
So she actually refers to this as being horrible and degrading.
Yes.
And it was only an allegation at that point, and that was within 24 hours.
That's right.
So she made that very, very quick, and yet your allegations, she's been quick to fall on the process and shelter herself by the process, which I'll remind you is to protect those working for you, not to protect you.
Right.
It's to protect those working for you.
She actually says she does not want to support it.
No, she did not say
that,
Esther.
That's
not what she said. But I have been accountable.
Esther,
I've been very transparent. I have answered
answer
to the fullest of my ability, because there are processes that I respect. I respect the grievance policy. I respect those policies. So I have no choice but to only put out so much. I cannot breach a confidence. So if you want to talk about accountability and transparency, maybe you need to learn how to follow policy also, because that's exactly what I'm doing. So if you talk to anybody in the community who knows me, they have their own vision. They have their own thoughts.
Are the individuals lying?
If I may, because we're not supposed to talk over each other.
I just say one at a time, please.
If you talk to anybody who knows me in the community, I've been very I am in the community all the time. So if you and Damon yourself, I have how many pictures with you and your children that
I'm stunned by this.
You couldn't not imagine me that you couldn't have imagined me to be an untrustworthy person. I can only follow on my.
Thank you very much.
So what I would ask is that if this were found to be true, would you resign? Would you follow process?
Let her answer now, please.
Process.
Well, if that became part of the process,
this
you
is
know
what
what?
your leader says.
let's have-
Damon,
Yeah.
Damon, I know in my heart of who I am and the person that I've been.
it's
So
a
I
process.
think it is a process. That's right. So if the process decided that I needed to resign, then I would resign.
So let me put something to you in fairness.
Yeah.
Then a by-election for the province is $450,000. And so what you're subjecting
You're
your
assuming that I'm
electorate
guilty.
to, no, what I'm saying to you is that you have a cloud looming over your head. And in fairness to your electorate, if they vote you in, there is quite a chance that during this
You know,
term you may resign.
Damon.
And it will be a cost to the taxpayer of $450,000 to hold a by-election. Is
Damon,
that fair
Damon,
to your
no,
party?
is it
Is
fair?
it
Monique
fair?
answer now,
Is it
please.
fair to us?
it
fair?
We
Is
are
it fair
running
to us?
Thank
we
you,
are
folks.
running
Let's
candidacy.
have
Is it,
Monique
is
now.
it fair
Looming
to me
over.
that you're calling me guilty?
No,
for
I'm
the
saying
process?
you're,
That's what
I'm saying Andrea Horwath
Okay.
does that.
I have,
Pauls,
I have,
Mr.
been-
Starr?
I have
She
worked my
believes the
entire
victim.
life to
She
become the
believes
person
the
that I
victim.
am
Oh,
today.
wonderful.
We
So
need
when
to hear Monique,
anybody can
please.
come out and speak about anything that they want,
Sure.
then we have a right to go through that
But this was
policy
just
and that
a public
process, and that's the
allegation.
process that I'm
Okay.
looking forward to going
Then-
Can I say one thing?
This topic has now going to be
Are
moved
the
on to.
ladies lying then? That's all we
I,
Mr.
you
Pauls,
know what? I'm
you
not
know,
going to comment any
Mr.
further.
Starr,
I
please,
respect the policy
please,
and
we
the
are
process.
now going to move
At
on to the next question.
$450,000
And
to
as a
taxpayers,
reminder to
potentially.
all of our candidates,
That's not
we
fair.
ask that you do not speak over each other for the viewing audience and also for our closed captioning. So we will now continue to move on. We will be moving over to Monique Taylor now. Monique, you have 1 minute to ask a question to the candidate of your choice. That candidate will then have 1 minute to answer, and then we will go into about a 2 to 5 minute discussion depending on time. The table is yours.
Thank you. My question would be for Esther. Because of WIN's cuts to services, hospitals are overcrowded. 32,000 seniors are on wait lists for long-term care. Thousands more are waiting for home care. 12,000 kids are waiting for mental health services and waiting for over a year. A flawed funding formula brought in by the Conservatives and continued by the Liberals has caused special education to be decimated and schools to fall into disrepair. Doug Ford